All right, welcome to an episode of Frags and Beer Gaming. Real quick, the screen is black because the game just launched, but I paused it so you guys can see the intro. I got a free look at, so this is not. I didn't buy this copy. I was given this copy by the developers, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me double check that. I want to give you guys the correct information. So we're doing a first look at the Innsmouth case, which is a game from Assemble Entertainment. It's described as a Lovecraftian murder mystery visual novel. So we'll see how that goes. This is a first look. We're going to play it for an hour or two. We'll see. And then if we like it, we may play the rest of the game. We'll see how that goes. As usual, if you want to find my information, contact me, whatever, you can look at the video description below. You can find my YouTube or my Twitter, my Facebook, all that stuff. Website, trevorbiersbach.com. You can find my books there. I'm a novelist as well as a gamer. And since you're in the live stream, if you're watching, you have questions, anything like that, be sure to drop me a message in the chat. I love chatting with you folks. And if you're watching the recording, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it out there so other people can find this. Pardon me. Need to get some water. I just ate lunch, so my throat's a little dry. All right, so I'm gonna click this. We're gonna watch the intro, see what it is, and then we'll get started. I have not played this yet. I've not nothing, so I don't know anything about this game yet. Except that the theme of it kind of intrigued me. So let's see what we got. All right, so not a big intro. The book started to open and I paused it to wait. Okay, so what I would want to do, we're going to go into settings real quick. No, that's not. Let's take the volume down a hair. All right, now back. How do we go back? Home, maybe? Okay. And what is this? Settings, location to frame. Okay, so you can look at your memories, I guess. But I don't have anything here. Okay. I guess check your progress. And what is this? This would be select and unlock ending to learn more about it. These are your achievements, I guess. There's 4 pages of them. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start a new game of the Innsmouth case. And it's loading. We are fans of the strange world of Innsmouth, and we recognize the problematic beliefs of H.P. Lovecraft. This game has been produced by a group of people who believe in inclusion and equality. Of course, everybody believes in that now. Okay, so we're not starting off all that great, but they got to put that statement out there so that they don't offend people. Because nobody believes all the same things that Lovecraft did when he was alive. That is not normal behavior anymore. We get that. Alright, Boston, 21st September. The last rays of sunshine filter through the blinds of your empty office. The pathetic stench of whiskey, cold cigarette smoke, and canned ravioli fills the air. Screeching tires and constant beeping of car horns out there on the street tell you that it's gone 8 p.m. People are on their way home, finishing their day. You should join them. You decide, what do I want to do? Stay at my desk, go home. You know, I kind of like whiskey. And canned ravioli. So I'm going to stay here. Your day was long and frustrating. You are running out of ideas on how to handle the calls of the people who want money. We're taking the volume down a little bit. That's really loud. You flick through a pile of unpaid bills. On the top of the pile is a reminder from your landlady you're 2 months behind on the rent. Okay? The next one is a 3-figure invoice from a games company for in-app purchases. Okay. What is the time period this is set at then? I'm a little... Is this a modern? Okay. I think this game was developed in England, but it's set in Boston, but they already sort of have the a bit of the language and idioms. Some of the voice is not right for somebody who lives in Boston. They wouldn't spell tires with a Y. They wouldn't say it's gone 8 p.m. That's a very old world way of saying time, but then we know that we're dealing with a modern time because we have, you know, in-app purchases, which assumes we have some sort of device, a tablet or a smartphone or whatnot. You tried to claim them as business expenses in your last investigation, but somehow your client refused to pay. Then there's the second reminder from your internet provider. So we're definitely in modern times, threatening to cut off your connection. You might take legal action because without the internet you can't work or live. Alright, you really need... What do we really need? Well, I assume we're playing some sort of down-on-his-luck investigator. We don't really need more in-app purchases. Screw lawyers. We hate lawyers. Fresh air is a waste of time. Let's grab a cigarette. You're toying with the idea of a cigarette when you catch a glimpse of the unpaid bill for your doctor. Maybe you don't need a smoke after all. Really? You breathe a deep sigh. It may not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You're looking forward to a classic Friday night, watching old mystery movies, an old mystery series. Watching old mystery series. Okay, we're missing a word there. And getting drunk on cheap booze. Since the early afternoon, you have been staring at the foreboding bottle of liquor at the other end of the room. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now nothing stands in the way. Suddenly you hear something at the door. Who is it? The door cracks open with a timid creak. The unknown guest pauses. Then in a breathy and melodic tone you hear a woman utter, "Hello." Your insides cramp. You suddenly realize you haven't cleaned your office at all this year. Invite her in. Okay. Why is she dressed like a 1920s French artist if we're set in modern times? I mean, that cigarette stem and everything is really out of place. By the light of the desk lamp, you now see more than a silhouette. A breathtaking woman lights up your office. No doubt older than 40, maybe even 50. Hard to say. Clad in black, a skin-tight dress culminating in a delicate seems to defy the laws of gravity. A smoky eyeshadow as dark as algae washed ashore. Blonde, coiffed, wavy hair under a dark beret. The faint light of the setting sun catches in the strands of her hair, and you wonder how many heads this woman must have turned during her prime. She's completely different from your usual customers. Nervous bankers with sweat stains under their armpits. Convinced their wives have something going on with the mailman. Every move she makes is calculated grace. Smooth as an eel, she walks toward you and sits down on the corner of your desk. Okay. Determined, she walks toward you and sits down on the corner. We got that part. I'm supposed to decide how this makes me feel. It's a weird choice. Okay. Which is a little bold, without asking you first, but as a professional, you're not giving anything away. She seems to want to play the seductive damsel in distress. The quiet, amused voice of your subconscious is pleased that this stranger may be sharing your enthusiasm for film noir cliches. Okay. A far louder voice is surprised that this woman seems to think that a sexy pose and revealing clothes could win you over, and both voices agree that they don't like being manipulated. You don't think that the stranger perched on your table is trying to recover from a hard working day as a lingerie model, and therefore you see no logical reason for her behavior. When she begins to speak, her voice is smoky and full of promise. My name is Dahlia Marsh. I'm looking for a private investigator. I was told you're one of the best. I am. She extends her hand. Kiss her hand. Okay, so see, that would be way out of place. There's a lot of confusion with time frame here. You've come to the right place, lady. What can I do for you? You sit back in your chair and fold your hands over your stomach. The woman seems a little irritated that her provocative behavior seems to have no effect on you. She moves from the edge of the desk and sits down on a chair opposite you. Yes, She clears her throat. She continues to speak. The smoky seductiveness creeps back into her voice. My name is Dahlia. I need help. Yeah, we know that. Ask for more details. It's about my daughter, Tabitha. She has disappeared. You're pulling out paper and pencil. This is going to be a walk in the park. A walk in the kidnapped kids' park. Well, when did you last see her, and where? The woman puts on a fake smile. We live in Innsmouth. It's a small port town north of Arkham. You frown. This is a bit vague, but what was your child doing when you last saw her? What hobbies does she have? Oh, you know, kid stuff. They just run around and play with their yo-yos, that sort of thing. Okay, already really not convincing as an investigator. This woman going on 50 has a kid who plays with yo-yos and stuff. Nobody plays with yo-yos anymore as a child. It's such a niche hobby. Dahlia nervously combs her hands through her hair. Does your daughter have any friends? Let's start with friends. Does daughter have any friends? She might be staying with classmates, sports club members, anything like that. Dahlia silently shakes her head. Very strange. You're about to ask if the girl at least had imaginary friends, but you hold back. Yo-yos? Hold on, yo-yos? Ring, ring. You can hear that. It's the 90s calling, and they want their outdated toys back. Dahlia blushes. Normally you would find this quite attractive, but the case of a missing girl beckons, and you're utterly unconvinced by the way this woman pretends to be a mother. Well, at least we're not convinced that... Confront her. Something's fishy here. You have a nose for this sort of thing. That's why you became a private investigator. Or to be more precise, that's why you took an online detective course that, for a one-off fee, provided the necessary qualification. It's time to take your visitor to task. They should have probably dragged out the this sort of uneasy feeling about this character a little longer, I think. I knew right away something was off. So they should have made you go through a few more clues before you're like, oh, she's lying. Something's not right. You look at her closely. Why did you come to me? Has your daughter really disappeared? Oh, she didn't like that. Question her further. Her story simply doesn't wash, although it's exactly what your instructor warned you about. You're sticking to your principles. Dahlia's mouth becomes even more pinched. Something you didn't think possible. I resent this insolence. Of course she's disappeared. What do you take me for? You stare at one another. The only sound in the room is the roar of the rush hour traffic creeping in through the window. Dahlia's face remains motionless, icy, and you have neither evidence nor arguments to back up your suspicions. She still seems angry, but she also seems desperate and dependent on your services. Ask more questions, accept the case, reject the case. Well, let's ask her, what about her father? What about Tabitha's father? Are you separated? Often children reappear with family members. My little one can't swim, even enough for that yet. Your pen remains on the same spot on the notepad. What was that supposed to mean? Let her talk. Dahlia turns her gaze away from you and looks dreamily, no, longingly out the window. Her father was a fisherman, like most in the village. A few years ago she went out to sea, but never returned. His boat was washed ashore weeks later. His colleagues told me he had finally followed the call of the waves. Keep quiet for a moment. Deceased family members are always a sensitive subject. You think? My sincere condolences. She seems calm. Oh, somehow I always knew that moment would come. I think my husband is in a better place now, and some point, I'll join him. Take a closer look at Dahlia's outfit. Judging from her behavior and clothes, you never would have taken her for a fisherman's wife. Well, no, of course not. Something is not right. More details of the case. What does your daughter look like? She's only 8 and the sweetest girl you can imagine. She's been missing without a trace since last week. None of her schoolmates have seen her, and no one knows where she might have gone. She hands me a picture. That's the kid. What? Okay. Okay, so I can't tell because the art style in this game is such caricatures. I'm supposed to assume that that's a bad photo of the kid. Bit of stomach acid in the last bite of lunch, slowly but surely make their way up into the back of your mouth. Throw up into a drawer of your desk, swallow it. Right. With narrow eyes, you swallow the bile and involuntarily pull a face. Dahlia continues to look at you hopefully. She obviously didn't notice your little mishap. That was close and could have been unpleasant. Really? Was that photo supposed to make us sick? I'm so desperate. Don't you think there's something strange about your child? Taking your life into your hands. It's called puberty, Dahlia snarls. You should try it sometime. Also, this has nothing to do with the case. Well, of course not. Oh, and now she's really mad. Alright, cave in. You fall silent. The woman's face is turned red with rage. Have you been too honest this time? Was your family right all along when they told you honesty was not always the best policy? Are you going to take the case or not? Let's accept the case. Missing persons case, nothing unusual. The conventional little girl runs away from home after reading her first romance novel. Usually they hide in the edge of the forest or in a library. Wait a minute. The girl's 8 and she's going through puberty? Okay. Alright. Should be pretty straightforward. This visual novel, virtual novel, whatever you want to call it, is starting to lose me, unfortunately. I don't play a lot of virtual novels. You guys know that if you've been following at any point. I think I've played a couple. I may have streamed one. But for the most part, virtual novels, I have not yet found them to be very well written. They tend to be written by people who probably wouldn't publish a book, but they seem to maybe get away with some of the problems that amateur writers, and I tend to be, I'm an amateur writer myself, though I've published a couple of books now. There's a lot of mistakes that new writers make, and they tend to make those mistakes in virtual novels pretty consistently. So I'm already starting to see that. A lot of inconsistencies and things that are hard to put aside. Anyway, before you can say anything, she drops a photo of the child and a roll of bills on your desk for your expenses. You slowly nod, trying not to drool down the front of your shirt. You haven't seen this much money in ages. You don't have much time to prepare. A quick search reveals that only one bus goes to Innsmouth, and only once a day. A pattern emerges in your research. A few news items related to this little coastal town are all about missing persons. In addition, you find some rather old-fashioned articles that praise the coastal town as a secret holiday destination. The best fish, untouched beach promenade, authentic fishing people are the most recurring buzzwords. Authentic fishing people. Dahlia has given you the address at which you're supposed to drop off her daughter as soon as you find her. She also wrote down her phone number on the child's photo. Take another look at the picture before you pack your things. What's wrong with the kid? let's go by bus. I don't know. Your journey begins at a bus station. There's supposed to be a bus line that departs from here to Innsmouth. Buses, you think to yourself, are not only an environmentally friendly means, they're also easier on your wallet. Sadly, the departure... Okay, so the guy drinks and smokes. Down on his luck. Doesn't have a lot of money. I'm pretty certain he's not thinking about the environmental impact of the transportation he's taking. He strikes me as somebody that wouldn't care about that. Sadly, the departure boards aren't of much help. New York, Maine, Rhode Island, no trace of Innsmouth as a destination. You wander around for a while until you notice a cleaner eating a sandwich on the side of one of the vending machines. Talk to the cleaner. Excuse me, where do I find the bus to Innsmouth? Without letting go of his sandwich, the cleaner points to an abandoned counter in the dingiest corner that a public bus station could be capable of. The man gives you a nod indicating that anything that can be said has indeed been said. You find that the counter is elaborately decorated with cobwebs. It's a bit early for Halloween preparations, but at least someone's made an effort. At the moment, nobody seems to be there. You press your face against the plastic window to peer into the room behind. Hello? Hello, is anybody there? I have to go to Innsmouth. No one's there. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a bus ticket appears on the counter. Might the trip be free? Just take the ticket. Yoink. In all likelihood, the ticket was already on the counter and you simply hadn't noticed it before. Someone must have paid and just left it there. This is what you tell yourself while you are looking for the departure gate with the ticket in your hand. Where's this bus hiding? Between the polished greyhounds and travelers stowing their luggage, saying goodbye and dropping tiredly into their seats, there's a kind of dumpster. A dumpster with windows and wheels. No, it's actually a bus. It's a bit on the rusty side, and even from a distance you sense the strange smell it emits. Is that sulfur? You're not convinced how this thing is supposed to drive. In its vicinity, everything is noticeably quieter than the other bus stops. The people getting on show no sign of emotion. Nobody's trying to jump the queue here. Jump the line. So we're in Boston. It would be jump the line. Instead, the passengers move past the bus driver at a uniform speed, one after the other, shuffling up the creaking steps. Each two-seater bench is occupied by individuals, as if they want to make sure not to come into contact with their fellow passengers. The sign clearly says Innsmouth. No departure times, no stopovers, just Innsmouth. It's actually a nice-looking bus. Undecided, you're standing on the stairs of the bus. Show your ticket. You hand the driver the ticket, no reaction. At least you can't make out a reaction. The lighting is poor, and the shadow of the dusty driver's cap covers almost his entire face. You notice something strange on his neck, but you can't quite make out what it might be. You're standing in the door waiting for an okay and a nod. Anything. The sulfur odor has increased. A queue has formed behind you, but no one is pushing or complaining. People wait quietly and patiently. Just keep walking. Shuffle sideways through the center aisle. You don't remember the bus looking this long from the outside. You're surrounded by shabby two-seater benches, and some are already occupied, one traveler per row. The last bench is free. Looks like the upholstery is torn in some places, though, or has it been slid open? You can see springs with sharp wire edges, and some sticky liquid seems to have leaked onto the floor. Why didn't you just sit down in one of the free rows? Here in the back, almost everything is occupied. Most of the passengers seems to have purposely sat down in the aisle seats, blocking off the window seats. Maybe this is an opportunity to get a little closer to the common Innsmouth visitor. Sit down with someone. Why not? As a nonconformist, you joined one of the passengers in a double seat. Since only one man has so considerate to sit at the window, your options are limited anyway. As far as you can tell, the man is a haggard figure with barely any luggage. The hood of the gray jumper... Okay, so over here we call it a sweater. Pulled far onto his face. The man looks out onto the street as if something very important is happening there that requires his attention. Is this seat taken? You ask politely. He turns his head and gives you a brief once-over. So I get that this game is written in England, but when you're writing a story set in a region other than your own, it's probably a good idea to get the figures of speech and vocabulary accurate for the region. Nobody in the United States that hasn't watched a British film or read a British book knows what a jumper is. And if your characters aren't British in America, you should probably use American terminology and phrasing when you're describing things. It will throw your audience. And it's clearly not a jumper, it's a hoodie. Without saying a word, he turns away again. Sit down anyway. Sure. Alright. That wasn't a no either. You sit down and regret it instantly. The smell of sulfur is now overpowered by something else. Something that smells like it's been in the sun far too long. Yummy. Trying to catch a glimpse of what's under that hoodie. Does this person have a genetic defect? Is he malnourished? You're not sure exactly where the problem might be, but you're trying to stay professional. You awkwardly stare at the headrest of the person in front of you. Talk to the stranger. Why not? Talk to him. This is a chance to get some information. Do small talk about veganism. Why? Oh my goodness. Okay. Currently trying to live vegan. The renunciation of animal products detoxifies not only the body, but also the planet. Neighbor turns to you and listens to your boring explanation. Very boring. And his pale green face is solidified into a mask. A mask of fascination, perhaps? Change the subject. I don't want to listen to veganism. Look the passenger over. Before you start talking to the man next to him, just like that, you take a closer look at him, which isn't so easy because he's constantly moving like a nervous insect. Luckily, he seems to be busy staring at the headrest of the seat in front of him. Take a closer look at his clothes. You scan the clothes of the neighbor. He dresses in the same black-green color palette as his companions, the Innsmouth club colors. Notice he's wearing a dark t-shirt under the hoodie. You take a closer look, and you recognize the logo. It's the logo of the only current show you're watching on TV, Mr. Cyborg. Okay. The man finally notices you are staring at him, and he looks at you with dull eyes. You point at his chest. Mr. Cyborg, you whisper triumphantly. Over the sad corners of the neighbor's mouth creeps a smile. Suddenly the man seems human. His scratchy voice sounds as if he hasn't used it in years. So he's gonna talk. And there's... How did you like the season finale? He presses out. Too few explosions. Good question. You think to yourself, great. I like the criticism of globalization, but there weren't enough explosions. Your seat neighbor laughs and coughs simultaneously, or maybe the cough is his laugh. Some of the other passengers turn their curious eyes toward you. That one of them is having a cheerful conversation with a stranger probably doesn't happen too often. You introduce yourselves to one another. Excuse me, trying to fight a sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me. You introduce yourselves to one another. The gentleman next to you is Jonah, a city official in Innsmouth. He was at a comic book and TV convention in Boston. The story sounds a bit weird, but it must be true. What else are you watching, he asks. I like to get drunk while watching old mystery series. Yeah. Oh, look, we got an achievement unlocked. You can't see it behind my thing, but I just got the BFF achievement unlocked. The rest of the trip you talk about movies and TV series. Time flies. Then the bus turns into Innsmouth. Jonah becomes noticeably quieter. All of a sudden you realize that during the whole trip you have not once talked about your case. You have time to ask him a question. Talk about the missing girl. Fish out a photo of the missing girl from the inside pocket of your coat and hold it up to his face. I'm supposed to find the girl here. Have you seen her? Corners of his mouth drop immediately. He shakes his head. Alright, well, it could have worked. There's something strange about his reaction. You're about to put the photo back into your pocket and decide to ask one more time. It's just not quite right. Something's not quite right. You still haven't gotten used to the strange smell, and you're leaning in closer. Are you sure? You ask a little quieter. Jonah shakes his head and makes a dismissive gesture with his hand. A cold shiver runs down your back as your gaze falls on his hand. During your conversation, you must have missed it. His hand, it's milky white and slightly green at the fingertips. A thin flap of skin seems to stretch between the fingers. This is not normal, your subconscious whispers to you. Well, no, it's not normal. Excuse me. Sight causes you to feel pity. The poor guy. No doubt an unfortunate medical curiosity. The poor bastard must have led a difficult life with these chubby hands. What? You try not to betray any feeling of panic. After all, it seems as if you might be slowly approaching your destination. Well, we already know that. The bus leaves the country road and turns off at a wooden sign that says Innsmouth in red, flaky letters. The journey continues rather bumpily along. I thought we were pulling into Innsmouth already, weren't we? There's no back. I'm fairly certain we already pulling in. In the distance, some houses are already visible, seagulls circling the roofs of the outermost edge of the city village. Slowly, all passengers take their bags out from under the seats and get ready. Curious, you look through the side window. That's odd. The bus passes by a huge, what is this, a scrapyard? Parking lot? Why would something like this be here right outside the city? Where it's a village, isn't it? I got the impression that this is a village. You pass another wooden sign whose half-peeled writing advertises the Innsmouth Park and Ride area. A lot of cars look like they've been sitting here for years. Sand covers some of the bonnets and windshields. Bonnets would be hoods for people who live in Boston. And windshields, not windscreens. Front door of the bus opens with a squeak and you join the monotonous line of locals stepping out of the bus as if in a daze. Almost walking in step, you all get closer to the exit. As you walk down the steps, you have to protect your eyes from the sunlight. Turns out the windows of the bus were tinted. The other passengers shuffle off. With a tired smile, Jonah waves to you before he also makes his way home. Okay. Alright, so far the intro has been pretty long. What have we been? 30 minutes at this. We'll see how much longer I want to go. Finally, Innsmouth. You examine your surroundings while you stretch your legs trying to unwind from a stressful journey. No artist could have adequately captured the serenity and beauty of this place. A clear blue sky lights up the town square, which is paved with bright limestone and surrounded by neo-colonial buildings reminiscent of 19th century New England. A fresh sea breeze, crying seagulls and locals going about their business. A fresh sea breeze. We're missing some verbs there. That sentence is really weird. Okay, so yeah, the writing is really starting to lose me here. In the center of the square, water trickles from a fountain. As you stretch your limbs and breathe in the clear air, you're suddenly startled by the water feature right in front of you. The fountain is an enormous fish-like brass creature. Brass, fish-like creature. An open jaw lined with shark-like fangs sprouts brackish water down its massive, inhumanly contorted body. It's a fish. It wouldn't be it's already inhuman. As if that wasn't enough, there appear to be human bodies squirming underneath its massive claws. Their faces are as contorted as yours is right now. How long have you been standing here? Eyes wide open in shock, you feel utterly paralyzed. You start to scan the town square and notice more and more disturbing details. On every corner you spot ornamental statues and reliefs of fish. But these are not your classic harmless kinds of fish. These are pagan symbols and grimaces of supernatural creatures from the darkest crevasses of the deep sea. In surrounding houses, you can see faces pressed against the windows. All the locals appear to be watching you. You suddenly start to think that the cries of the seagulls sound particularly human-like. They sound like humans crying out in pain. What happened to the idyllic scene from a few moments ago? Welcome to Innsmouth. Turn around. Welcome to Innsmouth. How nice of you to visit. A small elderly woman waves at you from afar. She beams at you as if you were her long-lost grandchild. She seems very different to the boors you've met so far on the bus into town. Her squealing shakes you out of your nightmarish panic. It's so good to have you here. I've noticed you're very taken by our local fountain. It is built in 1704 by Abdul Necrotis, favorite artist and friend of Charles Dexter Tillinghast, the founder of Innsmouth. The central figure was a present, and it was supposed to commemorate their travels together to Cairo. You can clearly see the Egyptian influences in Necrotis' work here and here. No. I didn't think... Never mind. She points wildly in every direction. And here, but I'm sure you've already noticed this yourself. You look like someone who knows his way around art, she says with a wide smile. You're still in shock. Who the hell are you? Oh, I've not introduced myself. I'm ever so sorry. In front of you now stands a small, plump person in a tasteless costume. Your rudeness doesn't seem to curb her enthusiasm in the slightest. My name is Muriel Pooping Place. Are you serious? I'm the director of the Parks Commission, chief tourism officer, and head of the welcoming committee. Ta-da. Ta-da. Behind Muriel, there's a ramshackle wooden information stand lovingly decorated with balloons. A colorful painted sign reads, "Welcome to Innsmouth." Muriel tiptoes over to her information stand and picks up a whole load of flyers and leaflets from the rickety display cases. She looks down at all the paper in her arms and briefly shrieks with laughter. Oh my goodness. Why don't you take this city map to begin with? Useful. You take the map and put it into your coat pocket. Would you like find out more about our wonderful town, which has been awarded the East Coast Stunning Town Award for several years in a row? Sure. Muriel claps her hands excited and squeals. She begins unfolding one of her maps and points at 3 different locations in the town. The town center here should be the next stop of your trip. There's a lively up-and-coming shopping street in Innsmouth, and since May, our local fountain has even had real running water. Okay. Muriel starts waving her index finger at you. I know what you're thinking. This town is being too showy for its own good. But I can assure you we've all kept our feet on the ground, even after the whole thing with the East Coast Stunning Town Awards. Her finger now points to a different area on the map. The old town of Innsmouth is completely preserved. You'd think nothing was ever done to the facades of the old houses. Within 4 miles of here, you won't find any new buildings. Her face is unwillingly slipped into an expressionless mask due to the sheer boredom of it all. We're getting there. And then Muriel points to the coastal line on the map. The amazing beach promenade. A dreamy beach with a bar that serves all the drinks your heart desires. I hope you brought enough stress with you, because at the beach, pure relaxation awaits you. Okay. Thank her. Nothing gives me more pleasure than ensuring visitors have a great time in our pretty little town. Is it a village, a town, or a city? Will you be staying for a few nights? I can only recommend staying as long as you can. There's just so much to see. Trust me, by the end of your stay, you won't want to leave. Oh, that sounds ominous. Let's see. We'll stay a week. Wonderful. Take this coupon for the Gilman Hotel. Here, you'll find luxurious 19th century flair that can expect a sophisticated service. Among its guests, the hotel has counted heads of state from faraway countries, Hollywood celebrities, world-famous pop stars, as well as 2 former presidents. Just tell reception that Muriel sends you. Muriel winks at you and hands you another colorful flyer. You've had enough now. You point at your wrist while backing away. Still so much to see, you know. Thanks again, ever so much for everything. We don't say ever so much. Muriel's eyes move past you and settle on a tourist family right behind you, seemingly at the flick of a switch. She's back to her gleeful demeanor, bouncing over to the family and waving her brochures. You head further into town along the cobbled road in the direction of the coast. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels thicker, and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. The first time to think about where you want to go. You slow down, you lean your briefcase against the wall, and start pacing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make. So we can go to north. There's a harbor, shopping streets. From your research, you found that this is a bustling area with a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. According to your research, the only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel, is located at the old town. Think about checking in, you could do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that's still clinging to your clothes. You've forgotten your briefcase. This has never happened to you. You usually take good care of the little... there's nothing you can do about it now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out... What? Wait, hold on. You forget. This has never happened to you. You usually take good there's nothing you can do about it now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out whether someone has handed it in at the Lost and Found. Still, you could swear that the briefcase was already gone when you got off the bus. But you just set it down. So I had the briefcase and I set it down to pace, and now I'm assuming that I didn't have it when I got off the bus. Oh, I'm really confused. So we go to the hotel. The Gilman Hotel. At least it's easy to see. It once must have been a gorgeous building. The hotel resembles an old English country estate, but in its present state, it would be suited as the setting for a very predictable film about teenagers and chainsaw killers. Wild and withered ivory has a firm grip on the walls that obscures the details of the richly decorated facade. A gallery of gargoyles melted into unreal shapes by acid rain and acidic pigeon droppings lines the roof. The many windowed panes have been neglected for years. Only in a few places has a small area been wiped clean in order to see outside. There are 2 cars in the parking lot. A vintage car with large rest spots and a very large gray van. Kind of van you've always been warned about as a child. Okay. Inspect the cars. You look around, make sure that people who own the cars aren't hiding somewhere. The coast is clear. First you walk over to the antique car. Well, not the car expert, but the car looks antique to you anyway. Both seats inside are made of white leather, a bit tacky. Turn away from the antique car and look towards the van. No writing on the side. Regular registration plate, and the windows in the front blacked out. Hang on, you have a brainwave. Maybe this is the van with which poor Tabitha had been pulled when she was kidnapped. How do we know she was pulled into a van? Okay, we're making an assumption. Okay. Maybe she was kidnapped by somebody in that van. Sure, completely plausible. So maybe we've managed to find the actual kidnapper, the seed of all this evil and wrong and this... Oh, you're a natural. Now you need us some proof. Okay, what's the plan? Try to get in the boot. You mean the back of the van? Do vans have boots? Trunks? That's what we call a trunk? Of course. Whatever it is you're looking for must be in the back of the van. Excitedly, you walk around the van. Sadly, the door is not open. That would have been very lucky. Full of optimism, you try the handle to see if the door's been left unlocked. There's noticeable resistance when you turn the handle. Damn. You don't get in without the car key. Let's smash the window. Brilliant idea. Your brain is running at full speed. Good day indeed. With a rock. Of course, you're going to use a rock. You're not completely stupid. You look around, find it. You lift up the tool and weigh it in your hands. Not too dirty. Good grip. Perfect. Look around at the parking lot one last time and make sure you're by yourself. You aim and smash the stone right into the window. The window breaks and splinters. That was loud. Hopefully no one will have heard it. You peek inside the driver's cabin. Suddenly, the smell of stale old grease creeps up your nostrils. On the floor of the passenger seat, there's a scrubbed-down brown paper bag with the logo of a fast food chain, scrunched down, not scrubbed. Paper cup. There are traces of... Where are the traces of the kidnapped children? You get the feeling that you're wasting your time, and you don't want to be caught in a smashed-up vehicle. Okay, you stayed in this parking lot long enough. You don't want anyone calling the police. That's a lot of text. You really hope the inside of the hotel has been looked after a little better than the outside, but you're quickly disabused of that notion. The massive wooden door is difficult to open. Shouldn't the staff be doing this anyway? The loud creaking sound from the hinges and an exhausted puffing and panting on your part, you manage to open the door and enter the lobby of the Gilman Hotel. You wonder if guests are even welcome in this place. The room is sparsely lit, impressive chandelier ceiling, which of course would perhaps not quite give a grand hall back its original splendor, but at least convey more warmth. Your first steps tell you that there are rotten floorboards hiding under the thick carpet. The green wall paneling and wallpaper also appear rotten and musty. Well, that's pleasant. Sort of wet. Go to reception. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's cute. Before you let yourself be distracted by the questionable interior design and the associated health issues, you walk purposefully toward the reception desk. A small, greenish creature stands behind the counter. The loudly humming ceiling lamp above harshly illuminates his silhouette and gives his face hard edges. You can make out every individual speck of dust and dandruff on his dark green velvet collar and crooked shoulders. Maybe they should be dimming the lights after all. The figure smiles at you, or perhaps it's more of a grin. His face unsettles you. You lean forward at an angle to get a better look at him. The corners of his mouth reach all the way up to his dried-up ears. His smile looks like it's painted on. His beady eyes lie deep in the cavity of his skull and seem to stare into opposite directions. Has he even blinked yet? The top of it all, he smells funny. How may I help you? You're startled and taken aback. Welcome to the Gilman Hotel. My name is Cornelius Gilman III. How may I be of service? The man's gaze remains unchanged, and his unnatural smile still seems to be etched into his face. You're still surprised that he could talk with that expression on his face. Just a moment ago, you could have sworn he was an inanimate puppet. What's wrong with your face? What's wrong with your face, you say with a disarming honesty. If you're referring to my complexion, I suffer from a very strange congenital disease, which only people from my family as well as other people in this town develop. So are they all related? I would like to book a room, you begin, and manage not to blurt out, in a different hotel. Perfect. The Gilman Hotel is delighted to be able to welcome you as its guest. May I ask whether you're in Innsmouth for business or pleasure? How long will you be staying with us? Would you prefer a view towards the beach or the skyline? When would... Okay. So he asks us a bunch of questions. How long can you hold your breath? Answer all the questions. Business. For about a week. View of the beach. 6 a.m. Do you sleep deeply? I never sleep. Are you traveling by yourself? Always by myself. Do you have family? That's none of your business. Who knows that you're here? Al knows. I don't even know who Al is. Can I interest you in our spa, fitness, and wellness activities? No. Would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? No. How long can you hold your breath? 30 seconds. It's really probably more like 2 minutes, but... Are we done now? Can I go to my room? The concierge expression did not change a tiny bit for the duration of your conversation. Thank you very much. That was all he needs to know. Now all you need to do is sign here. He tilts his strangely shaped head to the guest register. Patient, you sign. My real name. Sadly, we're all booked up this season. There's only one spare room. Here's your key for room 666. Of course. Enjoy your stay. Look at the key, which has magically appeared on the counter. Then your eyes slowly wander past the man to the wall, where countless other keys are hanging. What now? Go to your room. Oh boy. Alright. We have been at this for almost an hour. And I can tell you that I don't care, which is unfortunate. The story has not hooked me yet. There's really no reason for me as the reader to care, because the story hook has been delivered by an unsympathetic character. So this would be a writing lesson for anybody who's watched any of my writing classes or seminars. When you introduce an unsympathetic character, a character that we don't like, you're going to have a hard time convincing people to care about that character in any way. So in this case, we have the woman that came to visit, and right away we know she's lying. We know there's something wrong with her, and she wants us to find her kidnapped daughter. And there's no reason for me to care except that it's a kidnapped child, but that's not enough because I'm disconnected from this child. I need to be made to care through the eyes of somebody who is connected to the child, and quite frankly it was not delivered by an interesting or sympathetic character, so I don't care. Also, with all of the writing problems with the story, mainly it is very much written as if it were happening in London rather than Boston. So if you're going to write a story set in another real place, you're going to want to make sure you're getting the speech patterns, slang, idioms, all of that stuff. You want to get that accurate to the region you're writing in. In this case, you know, we're very much, the narration is the way that we as the main character are supposed to be viewing this world. And so as a someone who lives in New England in America, we wouldn't be using words like jumper or cue when we look at the world. So it's very off-putting when you're reading. So that's just something to consider when you're doing your reading. I don't think I'm going to play any more of this. I'm going to let it ruminate for a little bit, and if I become interested enough to want to find out what happens next, I may play it, I may stream it, and let you guys know what I think. But as it stands right now, not really interested. And mainly it was the delivery. The story hook was not delivered the way I would want it. It just didn't hook me at first. It didn't give me a reason to want to keep reading. As far as I'm concerned, these events would be happening to people I don't even know and don't care about, and hopefully he finds the kid, but one way or another it doesn't matter to me. So yeah, that's where we're going to leave it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did watch, if you're watching the recording, again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about this show or other shows. Be sure to check out Frags and Beer Network stuff. All my videos, gaming, writing, all of the different things that I have on there. And hopefully I will be bringing you more content this coming week and some new projects coming soon. Other than that, thank you so much. You guys have a fantastic one. I will see you next time. Much love.